Carson Turner, County Administrator Charles Chapman, County Attorney Mark Latt, and Clerk Barbara Bachman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item on the agenda is bids. It's RFQ 2017-13. Mr. Parker?
For the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. Staff issued the RFQ for construction management services for historic and non-historic projects in Henry County. This is mainly for the courthouse, but could be used for other projects. There's a selection
Mr.
committee.
Chair, I just make a motion to
Yes, sir.
approve Christel's contract. And I ask, y'all have is there any concerns, Shane, that you have with them thus far? They do a great job on what we've had so far. You ready to move forward with them, right?
They have done a good job. One of their subs was bad, and they had to get rid of them and bring somebody else in. But they've done good work. They've stayed in communication with staff, and they've pressed their subs hard to finish.
Okay.
The nicest bunch of people you'd ever want.
No problem with them whatsoever. I would just like clarification on the source of funding.
Well, that's this is the master agreement, and what's going to happen is we're going to come back and give you a guaranteed maximum price for courthouse, for the historic foundation repairs. Right now, we have an STA that the board approved for going around. I think we've already approved it for going around the non-historic portion of the courthouse. Once those plans are done, we'll have an estimate. We can get a guaranteed maximum price on them, and we'll have to work with Jennifer to identify the funding source and the options for you. But right now, this is just to
contractual.
approve it, and we'll get a master agreement,
Okay.
and then we can go from there for
Okay.
individual
We're not
projects.
agreeing to spend any money yet. We're just talking.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Can any of that come out of the grants?
Yes, Janet's projects can come out of grant, but we'll
Okay.
have to bring that back to you.
Yes, but it will be grant money,
Not all of it,
most of it.
depending on what the project is.
Okay. Any further questions? There's a motion from Commissioner Turner, second from Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Any motions regarding consent agenda? We've been asked to pull C1.
Motion to approve balance.
Okay. Motion to accept consent agenda with the exception of C1, which will be brought back at a later date by Commissioner Harris, by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Under public hearings, we have the adoption ordinance. Get that in my book real quick. Adoption ordinance requiring connections to the Port LaBelle utility system. Attorney Lamp?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is an ordinance that will require that for all parts of Port LaBelle that landowners connect to the plus system and plus water system, and then in the portions where there is a wastewater collection line that they connect to the wastewater system. This is mostly happening, but without the ordinance, you can't catch the few who might try to avoid that and do their own thing, and so this is the requirement.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the ordinance as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any discussion? This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wish to address this issue? Anyone at all? Okay. Seeing none, board, is there any discussion on your part?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
like I said, several months back, these issues are going to affect LaBelle. I'd like them to be seen in LaBelle. This is going to affect Port LaBelle. Obviously, they couldn't be here at 5 o'clock if they lived in Port LaBelle.
Oh, you're saying we should have handled this
I'm
in
saying
LaBelle
I'd like
meeting.
to see LaBelle business handled there where they have the opportunity to either come in and speak against or for. In the past, they've all said, we don't get notice, we don't get notice. Well, this could be one of those issues. They say, well, we didn't have no idea you were having this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd kind of like to see stuff that's no different than if it was going to affect this side of the county. I think the
Right.
people here should be able to be, available to the meeting.
Sure. That's a good point.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's reasonable. I think
Yeah.
if especially if it's time sensitive, we could just rotate that on the calendar. If y'all, just try to meet that as much as possible.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times that it's not going to work out.
Right.
especially
I
if
understand.
something
We don't have a
falls on
choice
the
because
11th
we
hour.
have to move.
I mean,
Okay.
y'all, that's probably an easy one to be met, right?
We'll put it later on the agenda.
But you got to watch them though, Commissioner Wills. Sometimes it's real contentious. They'll slip it on the
Yeah.
other side of the county.
Put that one in
Nothing
LaBelle.
wrong with a good debate.
We have all the monkey public hearings over there.
Yeah, but that's your district now.
Yeah,
Hell with a
exactly.
monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
And if not, you can
I'm
put it
going
later
to
on
have
the
I'm
agenda.
going to take care of
Yeah.
monkeys.
Yeah, I
So
just think it's easier that way. If we could do business in those areas, I think it'd be.
I
I
think
have two monkeys
staff's
in my
hearing you
truck.
loud and clear. Good point. Very good point.
I hate a monkey.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
But like Mitch was saying, all the public hearings, we usually have them on the side that it affects.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions under the FYI correspondence? Anything there?
I got a little nervous, Mr. Chairman, when Commissioner
Which one?
Harris just said that.
Yeah.
This is Rose that we have the meetings on the side.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like, stop, what are you talking
got-
about? I was just,
2 weeks.
Nobody heard it.
you Commissioner.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. Yeah. Raul said he's got it on the quote. He's got it quoted.
no, he wasn't
Move to
here.
strike that last testimony.
You gotta be careful, because I don't know what her name was, but that will be, like, it'll be on repeat now.
Yeah.
Facebook
Right.
Live.
Yeah.
He was outside,
It'll
right?
be outside the dollar
Oh
store.
no, he got it. He got it.
This Sunday, when you're up for re-election,
And,
it'll be outside the dollar store. Listen to what Commissioner Harris said.
2 weeks. Ironically enough, 2 weeks in the day, he'll be refreshing his sunshine law training, so he'll have to stay extra for that. Moving along.
I digress.
Yeah,
Where was that in the agenda?
we're past that now. Correspondence. Let's see. Moving along. Anything correspondence? Nothing there. Okay. Staff reports.
Yes, sir. First item is the discussion amongst the board for the consideration of a possible closure of offices on Monday, July 3rd.
Mr. Chair, does anybody, the person I always, lay to is Miss Butler. She gets mad at us anytime we close anything without checking with her.
Hey, Carson, okay.
I don't care if the court's gonna be open.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no, this
Okay.
is the first time that the chief judge has ever said, clerks, you can close your office on July 3rd. This is the first time.
So you're good with it.
So,
With us?
that's where it started, is
All right.
me.
So she's closed.
I'm closed.
So we're
So
done.
I went and talked to the tax collector's office and talked to the property appraiser's office and the supervisor of elections and told them, look, the chief judge said we could have that day off, we're closing. Y'all do what y'all wanna do, but we're gonna be closed.
She's gonna be at the beach.
I was just saying, Miss Butler, I'm glad she closed it off with that. That's not what because she said, y'all can do what you wanna do, but I ain't gonna be here, none of my girls are either.
We're
Yeah,
out.
I don't care what anybody else does, the chief judge said we could close, we're closed.
But
So we're good, right, Mr. Chair?
what are we gonna? What's the negative to us closing? Who are we gonna not service or help, or is there anybody that could wait till Wednesday of that week?
Monroe County's pockets are not gonna have as much money.
Yeah.
The only thing I see is you got road and bridge, they only work 4 days a week. Rec board works 4 days a week, so they'd only work, if you give them Monday, they'd work 17 and a half hours that week.
They get paid the hours, no matter what.
Yeah, but I mean, you still gotta mow.
Didn't you just get a new mower, sir? Maybe you could kick in and help.
You can't mow in 17 and a half
I
hours.
bet they can. I bet if you tell them y'all can have Monday off, if y'all get it moved, I bet it'll get moved.
No, that's,
It's amazing how many
I'll
times
bet it'll get moved.
we're mobilized, I
that's
say,
road and bridge.
by Thursday.
Mr. Parker, is there any reason your guys can't get it moved?
Oh, my guys would like to have it off on July 10th.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
do you need it in the form of motion? This is just direction, county administrator, make it happen.
This is, basically, I don't need anything more than the consensus of this board to say, if you want it closed on Monday, that will be a official 12th holiday on this year's calendar. We only have 11 in the human resources manual. It's beyond my scope, so I needed your approval authority one way or the other.
I think we're for it, except everyone, we should make note of that. Commissioner Harris is against
Right.
the little working man.
Right, he wants them to stay
them
in
out there
mow.
grinding on the lawn.
Right. Go and mow.
Everybody heard that.
That
I
reason
heard
he's
And I heard
volunteering to mow.
him, and I heard him say, I don't care if they're getting paid or not.
Yeah. Right.
They just gotta get it done.
17 and a half hours.
He wants the ball fields mowed. Just be
That's
clear.
it.
No, road and bridge, you want the highways mowed.
Anyone have a problem with them taking the day off?
I got a big problem.
Anything else?
Why are you so tough right now?
Just to be clear, this is for this.
This one only, right? This specific one,
Okay,
right?
Non-recurring.
Right.
Okay, no,
Right.
I
This
don't
specific
think-
date.
We don't need to do this next year now.
When is the,
Oh, geez.
I'll be open next year.
Okay, should be
She's
on
already looked at
fall
that
next
date.
year, Miss Butler?
Oh, Wednesday, I'll bet.
When does it fall next year?
on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
They're
Yeah.
gonna get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. I can forget about that.
Next year's his election year. I bet they'll get the whole week off.
Come on.
See? Exactly.
He'll poll it. He'll poll
Give it a year.
Yeah, exactly. Next, number 2, resolution authorizing submission of a grant application to the Florida Department of State Division of Historical Resources for the
Ms.
facade
Admiral, you're just
preservation.
asking for permission to do that, right?
Can you
Yes,
submit a
it's
grant?
Yes,
So
it's a new
moved.
application.
Second.
So
Good
moved.
afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
You want to add to it?
Her motion, or her staff recommendation isn't just to apply, but if granted,
No.
to execute everything associated with it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Then hope,
Is a new round of funding, another 500,000. We had 350,000 to do the foundation, which we completed. We had 500,000 to start the facade preservation, which is like the brickwork and all that. But we had to use some of that money to finish the foundation, so we have a pot of money left, and this will continue then the facade preservation, be the same types of activities.
so this,
Next
be-
round.
this would be money for what Shane wants to do?
Yes, and I already have work for Mr. the Christel right now. We have the
Nice.
grant open, ready to put him to work right now.
Good, good. Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Please write it, get it, and execute it. Quickly.
Okay, my next item is a staff report for your information on the Altair Training Solutions Incorporated. Their notice of significant default under the ad valorem tax abatement program. So you've read it all, and
We have.
they are delinquent in all their
And the
things
way
that they
I,
were supposed to do.
Janet, the way I understand, they paid tax last time, 2014,
Yes, the
correct?
2014 was paid, because I believe when they closed, those back taxes were
But they hadn't paid any tax since?
No, sir.
And they owe us $2,342.
No.
No, that's what the abatement
That's what the abatement
is
over-
valued at.
Over $100,000 in taxes.
Yeah,
What's the 2003
that's
was
how much
just
the abatement is worth.
worth?
Yes,
Okay.
not the value of their properties, but what the abatement equates in dollars, tax
So,
dollars.
what legally then, I mean,
Is that a,
Well, it would be, if you want to proceed with taking some action, it would be, we notify them that the board is not going to delay renegotiation of the exemption. That's the first step after default. We try to renegotiate the exemption. And then we did have that meeting, and they said, well, we're really not ready to renegotiate. We got this lawsuit hanging out there. We'd really like for the lawsuit to be over before we renegotiate the exemption. So we could go to them after hearing your sentiment and say, you need to renegotiate now, or we're going to be going in front of our board to revoke. But that's the message we're going to convey. Otherwise, I just go to them and say, the board's going to revoke because you're in noncompliance. And then
But
it's a public hearing, and
I gotta tell you, I don't think the problem is the abatement.
no,
They're not paying taxes at all.
Mr. Chairman,
And you're talking 2,000 out of $102,000.
right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
when you say revoke, Mark, what does that mean in its entirety?
you know, it would be no more exemption going forward, and we would then
Charge full taxes.
would charge full taxes going forward, but also begin efforts to recoup
The
the
back.
abated money.
But you're still talking $2,000 out of $100,000. The abatement's not the issue. Paying taxes is the issue.
Yeah.
But,
we
so
can't
that's
do
what I'm saying. So
anything
does
about
the number go from?
It would go
Abated?
back. It would go back to where
Is
they,
it
because they've not
retro?
paid anything. They have not met the criteria of jobs.
Nope.
Or anything. And so they have, in my mind, the abatement has to go away, but then that's still not the issue.
that. Yeah, go back 2014.
They're getting them to pay taxes, period. I'd still be happy to give them the abatement if they would just pay and meet what they need to meet, but that's not happening. I love the business. I think they're great people. I want them there. We need to help them, but
But they need to pay their taxes.
they gotta pay taxes.
What did they? When's the last time you met with them?
Mr. Keller and I went down there in February, yeah, was it? Yeah.
April 17th meeting, we met
And it's
with
the
them.
same. It's the same song, right? It's. We're in a lawsuit. We get this cleared up. We're moving forward with contracts with the feds and or entities that want to conduct business with training here.
At what point does that run out? And again, they've not paid taxes and we move forward with another action.
What does that have to do with them
Where?
not paying taxes?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not
Oh, okay.
justifying. I'm
Right.
saying. I'm saying. I don't know what. Your business model has to start going into effect
Right.
at some point
Right.
Yeah,
for business to conduct.
And it is not.
2017.
And it was, when was it supposed to? I mean, I've been their biggest
2
cheerleader
years.
since day one.
2 years, I believe.
I'm just, come on, man.
Right, that's
Wear
why I
me
love
out.
them. I think they're great, but something's got to. So, Mark, help me out. So, there are 2 years, no taxes paid. At what point are they going to start, being on the courthouse steps buying that?
Well, I haven't looked, but I would suspect that those certificates were bought.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
assume they were bought. And so then the certificate holders would then have a 2-year clock that's running, the first, let's see, so the 15 taxes would have been bought at the tax certificate auction in May of 16. So we're only 13 months into the 24-month window, so it wouldn't be till next May that certificate holder could call for an auction. I would assume that they'll take care of that tax bill before then.
Okay, okay.
So the taxes are paid, they're paid by
Right.
the third party. I
Right.
assume they're paid, because there's value to this property, so I would assume the certificate got bought.
Okay, okay. Okay, what direction would the board like to take with regards to the ad valorem abatement for the Altair Training Solutions?
I think abatement should be ripped up at this point.
Start all over.
And can I ask this, what are the negative consequences of just saying, okay, we're done with this?
Yeah.
Be devil's advocate here for a
I
second.
don't see any, because again, they're not paying taxes, period, much like they're not contesting the abatement or the amount or anything, it's the whole business.
I don't think.
Nothing from nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not doing nothing, we're not doing nothing, so they're not doing nothing. If we don't do nothing, they're gonna continue not to pay, so.
And quite frankly, I don't see us moving on this. I don't see where it's gonna push them into paying it or not paying it or doing anything different anyway. They're not paying it. Us saying, now you go $2,000 more on your $100,000 bill, they're gonna say,
It's
okay.
irrelevant.
Sure,
Yeah.
got it.
I don't think that's a catalyst that's gonna bring them back.
No. However, I think that there should be some precedent set. And I totally agree. I think that we at this point need to say, look, we're not gonna, permit this and be done with this abatement. And if and when, they're ready to move forward with the business model, we now have a rubric they can fill out.
So your action would actually be to direct us to schedule a public hearing for revocation of the exemption, because it is an ordinance, so you can't formally revoke tonight. We need to do that at a public hearing.
Okay.
For that ordinance.
You need,
Give us that direction to proceed with that next step.
do you need a motion or just direction?
Direction, okay.
Well, let's have a motion and then.
Make it formal?
We'll be able to-
Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion that we move forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Byrd, second by Commissioner Wills to move forward by asking staff to move forward with creating the public hearing to do away with the Altair Training Solutions ad valorem tax exemption. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Papanoff.
Okay, the next item is the COPS hiring program. The Sheriff's Department would like to apply for this grant. We've had COPS hiring, 2 grants hiring initiatives in the last few years, and there's a 25% match, and over the 3-year period, and then on the 4th year, the county must retain these officers for a period of 12 months.
So could we speak to Chief Nelson?
Yes, I can.
And before we
Tell
do
you all
that,
about the program.
can we clarify the numbers before we do that? And so at the end of that period, our piece of that would be $243,000?
The match for the 3-year period totals $243,160, and then we would
after
pick up the entire.
And that's out of our budget or the sheriff's budget?
It's out of the county's
we're in.
budget. The 25% is the local match.
Alrighty.
I just got a question.
Okay. Chief Deputy Nelson?
So anyway, it's 5 deputies, right? 5
Yes, sir. Kevin Nelson, Henry County Sheriff's Office. 5 deputies.
at 25%.
That each time we've applied for that COPS grant, that we've had that stipulation there, but we always apply for the waiver, and we have gotten it. We've been successful with the waiver
So,
because we're poor.
We are poor.
Yeah.
so this would be a new item for the new coming budget, correct?
Or will you be applying for the waiver for that as well?
For this COPS grant.
Yes, sir?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But anyway, the money here would be into next year's budget that you're
Correct.
asking for.
If we don't get the waiver,
Then
that $243,000 is total over 3 years. So it'd be 1/3 of that each year. Then we would probably look for an increase in the
So
budget.
when you got, when would you have the new deputies on the job if everything went through?
if everything went through, we would start hiring in October.
October of this year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are you asking for that? And any more deputies, or is that enough?
And additional in the budget, upcoming budget cycle, you'll see where we've asked for additional 4 patrol deputies.
So that'd be 9 total, right?
Correct.
Ooh-wee.
4 patrol. This group here is a special group that we would assign to, for identified crime trends. We get a bunch of burglaries in Flaghole or wherever, Portobello. We could assign these groups. Plus, with the prescription medications, the pain management clinics, all being regulated now. I put that in the letter. We saw an immediate increase in methamphetamine here, followed by heroin. And it's prevalent in Hendry County, and we've got to address those because all the other crimes are related. To drug abuse. And, the property thefts, property crimes, all that, domestic violence even, but the problem we're running into is our calls for service have increased to the point where the deputies just don't have enough time to do crime suppression patrols. So we can't assign them to follow these people around and solve these crimes, because they're busy doing other things that we're putting them under.
I don't have any problem with this as long as it goes in the next year budget. But of course, we'll have to look at the total budget as it comes up.
Right. Well, we're hoping with the grant application that we won't have any increase in the budget for the next 3 years for these deputies.
Right.
But the 4th year, then we, of course, we'd have to.
Because I just look at them as 5 new deputies. That's what I'd look at it as.
Wait, say that statement again. So for 3 years, if we get the waiver, it would be a 0.
Right. It would,
Starting the 4th year.
that's when we have to fund the positions.
Right.
And we're gonna have to absorb the equipment and all that.
Everything,
into
100%.
our budget.
But you already have the equipment.
We have equipment, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
They'll have to have additional. I mean, if you hire more deputies, you have to hire more, you have to have more equipment.
Well, he said it'd be on in October.
So at that rate, so it's 81,000 a year. If it's 243 divided, if you don't get the
If we don't
waiver.
if we don't get the waiver.
Yeah.
Oh, so Mr. Chair, it's 972,000 plus, because that's just salaries and benefits.
That's right. The grant would cover all but 25%, which is the 243.
No, what I'm saying is the cost of operation for us, our county, is we still have to outfit, support, provide for said deputies to be able to actually be on the streets and service. Is that correct?
Yes, we still have to do the cars, the equipment, the uniforms, stuff like that. If we have them in uniform, these will be specialized. It's a specialized unit, and they won't have as much equipment as, say, a patrol deputy would.
But do you already have that equipment
We have equipment that we can repurpose.
and enough cars?
We repurpose them.
Okay.
So this is in addition to the other 4 deputies?
Yes,
Like
sir.
you said earlier.
Yes, sir.
So this is just for your, like you were saying earlier, for your narcotics and different things like that.
Right.
So the reality is, I mean, if I sit here and ask you, rather than 5, could you do 3
For the grant, or for road patrol?
for the grant?
For the grant, yes, we could.
I mean, rather than, this amount and then 4 more on top of the budget that's coming, because when you add those 2 together, we're gonna be in a pretty good deficit. So my question is here, what reality, what can we get, if we can get 3 out of 5, if you got 2.5 out of 5?
Whatever,
So what this question is here is if I can get 5, I'll take them. But reality is, I mean, we'd love to have 9 new employees next year as well.
Yeah, that's right.
My question is the reality of it is what can we, what
Is 0 acceptable?
well, 0 is gonna
That's where
have
we
to
are
be
today.
acceptable if you tell,
Right.
that's what you tell us, sir.
You're at 0 today, right? You don't have them now.
We're at 0.
well, you have some
As
people
far
in
as
those
this-
positions.
As far as
group
this,
here.
or add
Yeah, there's
issues.
people in the
Right.
positions, but you're trying to supplement those people in that position. Isn't that correct?
No, not in this grant. This grant is for a completely new, different interdiction unit.
Okay, because I was under the understanding that we were looking, actually, I guess the 4 employees that we're looking at next year, the understanding I was they were to reinforce some positions that's already in place.
That's the
Right.
four,
That is
the four
correct.
you're talking about adding with the general grant. This five are the new
Well,
ones.
that wasn't a grant. The one that was next year was just gonna be a
This is
That's
budget.
right.
next
Added.
year's budget.
Now, next year's
Right.
budget, these five will be new. This interdiction unit is five new positions
New
with new
positions, new
Well,
job
the
schedules.
foreman would be as well, but they would just be in addition to an.
Addition to what they're
That's
doing.
already in place.
Right,
Yes, sir.
They
exactly.
would be
That's the reason I'm
added,
asking the question
Yep.
is,
yeah, the four in the budget will be road patrol, uniform deputies, and marked units out there support, put into the place where the, patrol needs them.
okay, I was kinda under the understanding it was gonna be an investigative position in that.
What are you
serious where
doing now?
We had some on each side of the county and was kinda needing help in both places, the understanding I had, so maybe I was.
Okay.
Is that-
Yeah, that's another option that we'll probably look at too, instead of using them in road patrol. If we can get this grant through,
Right.
that'll help supplement road patrol. The narcotics unit is bare bones right now,
Right.
and the sheriff is looking at beefing that up. Well,
Okay.
again, because of the drug issues.
Yes, sir.
So what are you doing now, Kevin? If you're short four, how are y'all handling that?
In road patrol,
Yeah,
paying overtime.
and then, are you still losing deputies?
Not lately, but we've been hiring local people too, thanks to the program you all did last year.
Okay.
So, we're sending 5 to the academy in July, and, we just graduated 2 last week. So
Cause I always thought y'all were always behind.
we're always behind. So there's always openings in road patrol. We only have 3 deputies and a supervisor in each side of the county, and it's getting dangerous out there. You send 3 deputies to a huge group of people that don't want to leave, and things happen, like February,
Yeah.
So we've got, it's getting to the point where we can't continue to ask the deputies to, be 3 deputies and go into a situation like that. It's dangerous.
That's kind of the reason I asked the question, what can we, if we can't get to 5, what reality is, what can we get that's gonna support the needs you have? Because reality is 9 positions is gonna be a lot of money next year. When you add this 243 to the other that's in the budget, I believe it was 268. When you add those together, we're gonna be at a pretty large deficit there, so.
That's nearly a
And
million.
we know you need the help. I'm not trying to say you don't, I'm just trying to ask, how can we work together to make sure we have what we need?
It is.
And how long they have to work? Only a year for the county once they come in? Just a year?
Well, the grant's for 3 years, and then you all agreed to fund the positions for an additional 12 months.
Are they liable to work for us for a year or more?
They can stay, as long as we fund the positions.
Because, my thing of it is we're sending them to school. How long will they stay? Otherwise, you bring them in, you train them, you pay for the training, then once they get trained, they leave. So is there anything that's, any contract that say that they have to stay?
New hires,
Yes, the new hires.
the new hires, yes, they have to have a contract.
And it's for more than a year?
Yes, it's 3 years.
I was just concerned because I use bus drivers, for example. You hire a bus driver, you give them their certificate, they go to Palm Beach County. You done paid for them to come in, and then once they get their certificate, they leave. So once we help them go through school, and they can only stay for a period of time, that was my purpose of the question.
Yeah, what we've run into in the last few years is, the coastal counties weren't hiring, so we were able to cherry pick our deputies. The problem is they left elsewhere, and while we were hiring the best, as soon as they started hiring, they took off for the $10,000 raise,
And that's an issue. When you break this down, these guys are starting out at around 36, a little over 36,000. That's not a lot to ask a man or a woman to put their life on the line for every day. So you can understand
That's an issue within itself.
But you have some type of contract, so, we can keep them for a period of time. We know they're gonna leave because we don't pay enough,
Ms. Papanoff, what's the nuances of the grant? When is this due?
The application is due July 10th.
July 10th?
And I want to make one clarification. We will be applying for that waiver. They don't always give it, but we do have the promise zone in our pocket this year, so maybe they'll give us more points, and maybe they'll give it.
Yeah, it's getting to be.
It's another good one for you.
Yeah.
In our
What
tool
are-
chest. How about our toolbox?
Yeah, our toolbox. Yeah, we got some things to help us. How bad is it?
Teaches infants to read.
So I don't want to keep you from writing a grant and moving forward to try to get the grant and the waiver. What happens if we move forward and got the grant and not the waiver? Do we have the ability
That
to say?
happened in our last application. That did happen. We did not get the waiver. They turned us down.
Okay.
We put a lot of time and
Right.
effort into that, and
So we can
they
say if we
turned us
don't get
down.
the waiver, we can't take the grant? Is that possible?
these grants are very strange because you have, before you can even see the grant, you have to accept it.
Yeah.
It's online. You have to sign for it, you accept it. You probably could go through the motion and say, we really don't want it.
Okay.
You know, but,
Well, that's
because
what
it
I
takes, because once you have it, it takes a long time for them to decide on that waiver.
Right.
Took a month last time.
Out of
Chair.
curiosity, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, out of curiosity, Mr. Nelson, say we applied for this grant, and we got it, and say we got all 5 of these gentlemen, would that be something we could, when it comes time for the budget talks of the next 4, could we look at that then? Say we go ahead and apply and get this, and you get all 5 now, come budget hearings, when we start talking about the other 4 deputies, is that something there that could come back and say, all right, we got 5 guys, you know, now we really can't do the 4 now, or if we would do 1 or 2, would that be an option?
Yes, sir, it would be an option. The deputies hired on this grant would have to be hired for this specific job that we've talked about here, you know, that we
Right.
applied for. But everything's a help. Anything's a help from 0 on, you know. So
Well, I'd hate to miss out on it, so if we, like you said, Mr. Chairman, if we apply for it, you know, there's nothing wrong with asking. And if we get the grant as well, then you're gonna have the bodies that you need now, or, you know, sooner, so
If you get these 5, and then.
maybe
if
we
you
only
don't
get 1 or 2
If you
then.
don't get the other 4, then at least have these 5.
Jeff, and then please.
it'd be a help.
Commissioner Turner?
It really comes down also, Mr. Chairman, to, you know, the level of tolerance that we have on an investment and what we feel and or what statistics show us from a crime prevention, you know, what's going on in our community. Do we want to come up with $243,000 and put potentially 5 more bodies on the road or in the community to help fight crime? And I think that that's a pretty strong return on investment, but I would also love to know all those hidden costs that we're not necessarily privy to as well, because I can imagine it gets pretty steep. You know, if we're having to really outfit everything from A to Z. You know? I'm for applying for the grant, so I will make a motion that we apply for the grant in the time certain, in its entirety, with the mindset of when we come to the actual budget discussions, we take this into consideration with the request on the total number of deputies that are being asked for, and then maybe trying to find a happy balance somewhere there.
And,
I think that's the best move.
Because I think we're all showing a support of, we know that we need more deputies on the road, and we understand these are maybe are completely different, you know, subject expertise. But how do we balance that? That's
Right.
it.
Right.
I think Mr. Nelson said they had the cars and the equipment.
They can repurpose a lot of stuff. Is what he
Yeah.
said.
I'll second that motion.
motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any further discussion? And I still would like to just make sure that we have the ability at some point in time, because in my mind, we're still scraping pennies together to pay payroll every week. And so we need the ability at some point in time where if they say, well, you can't get the waiver, but now you're on the hook for $81,000 a year, plus the extra things that we didn't expect. So at some point in time, before we sign on the dotted line and say we're going to do this, we need to know, you know, what's happening with that waiver and what we are going to be responsible for.
So do you pay it at one time or by the year?
Annually, $81,000 a year is what you'll have to pay.
Okay.
But no, that's how we would annualize it out.
Right.
We don't have to pay $81,000 a year. Is that what you're saying?
It goes in there, we match it in their payroll.
Okay. So we would just do that, but I mean, we're arguing semantics right now.
Yeah, no,
We're just having a discussion about it, but. I mean, would we just put that in the kitty and then pay it at the beginning of the 4th year whenever it comes due, or you would just annualize it out at 81 a year and be done?
If we get the waiver, then you don't pay anything for 3 years, and then you pay in the last year, and then we are keeping that in mind when we're preparing that year's budget, that we know you guys already agreed to do it, and we
Yeah.
have to fund it.
You gotta
right.
find
Wait, hold up now. If we didn't get the waiver, so the waiver's an annual
It's for the entire grant period. The
three-year
waiver would
period.
be for the entire grant period.
Right.
So if you got the waiver, you don't pay, you are net out
Nothing for 3 years.
243 grand.
Nothing for
Why is
3
it for
years.
3 years? Why is it not, you don't have to pay 25% ever?
It's a 3-year grant. At the end
It's
of
a
the fourth
3-year
year, you're
grant.
responsible for the whole, all the
After those
expenses
3
of it.
years, we're
You
responsible.
either fire them or you pay for all of it.
No, you can't fire them. You have
Well,
to
that's
pay
right.
for
You
them.
have to pay for them.
You
That's
have
right.
to pay for them once you accept it.
So we have to make sure we can pay for all of it in 4 years from now.
But by then,
Missing something.
by then, he'll need 5 more deputies.
Well, we need 5 today, but we
Doesn't
can't
the
pay for
waiver
them.
say I
That's
don't
my
have to
point.
pay anything? It waives the cost.
It waives the 25% matching requirement.
So the 25% matching requirement is an annual match requirement. They give you 75 cents on the dollar. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Patman. I'm a little bit slow sometimes, but you caught me up. Thank you.
The 4th year, we have to fund them.
Yes.
The 5th year, that's when we can say we can't afford this anymore.
And if we don't get the waiver, we have to do the 25%.
But if you get the waiver, then you could be banking that for the 3 years. That money that you're not spending, you're putting in a bank. That would take care of the 4th year, or come close. You might not have. We don't have an extra $81,000 laying around that I know of. But my point saying is, we
that's
would
what
have
I'm
a
saying.
good chunk to cover us for that 4th
It's,
year, so we wouldn't have to come up with the total amount of $243,000.
If it was this year, we'd be hurt.
Yeah.
And so I can, we don't
next
know,
year
we don't
would be
know where our taxes will be in 4 years from now, or our economy, or.
Just getting some people to pay them would help, huh?
That's right, yeah, exactly, that would help. Okay, any further discussion? Retracting your motion, or is that a?
No, I made a motion.
Oh, okay, all right, just making sure. You had that laugh like you, I better tell you.
This is 4 years we're going to be landing jets, right?
That's, if we knew that was gonna happen
Wait
in
a
4
minute, we
years.
knew. You tell me all that.
That's-
Dude, come on, I've heard
yeah.
it 25 times. I've heard you speak.
At the rate we're going.
You told Rotary. Everybody at Rotary called me. Hey,
That's right.
what is that?
We'd do 2 or 3 of these grants if we could at that rate.
How
Any
long
further
is
discussion?
that?
Well, the reality is, they're gonna need more employees in 4 years anyhow.
We hope.
So whether they get them now or not,
Did anybody second my motion? Or is
Yes,
it
Commissioner Harris did. Commissioner Harris did. Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you very much.
That's a long time.
That did take a long time, but start spending money in 4 years, that makes me scared. And let's see, that takes us to the settlement agreement on 1100 Harlem Academy Avenue. Ms. Emblidge?
Yes,
The assemblage, are there representatives from people who care here?
yes,
Outstanding.
Ms. Boyd's here.
All right. I make a motion to approve, the board approve settlement agreement and move forward with this. And I want to hear from anybody that disagrees with, and I'd love to hear your reasoning on why we don't want to do this.
I second it.
I cannot vote on this, but I'd like to say that because I am a part of People Who Care, but People Who Care have been active since 1981 and have done awesome things for the community. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't move forward with this.
Okay.
So,
All right, very good.
Attorney Lapp, does Ms. Bird's going to formally abstain?
Right?
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I didn't know that, Ms. Bird.
Yes.
And I'm glad to hear that you have confidence and that you think that we ought to be moving forward with this. And please keep us in the loop on anything else that you think the county can do to work with an organization that's been around that long.
And doing
Give
good
us a
things.
track record of what they've been doing. We'd
Yeah.
love to engage. as
Very
a
good.
Community partner.
Thank you.
Is that the form of a motion? You
Yeah, I
moved?
did.
And second by Commissioner
Second.
Wilson? Okay, motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wills. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, how in the world?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go.
You really want me to answer that?
You want me to answer it for you?
No, you're just going to say 2 words. I already know.
Okay, all right. I won't do it.
Okay.
Out of all honesty, if you didn't go look at it, you wouldn't understand it. But they had done a bunch of renovations and did a great job of cleaning up and getting ready for the Brown Sugar Parade. And they had taken numbers and painted over them. And on the said spot that was supposed to be demolished, and it was some confusion that should have never happened on multiple fronts, and it happened.
Okay.
And so until I went and laid eyes on it myself, I was with you. But when I laid eyes on it, I said, well, okay.
I laid eyes on it. I still don't understand.
Yeah,
but okay.
yeah,
They couldn't read the number on it.
yeah. But it was too late. It was after the fact.
It was after that. The fact happened quickly.
Yes, it did.
Did we already vote?
Nope, we're going there now.
Go ahead.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, and please let the record show that Commissioner Byrd
Ms. Emlich?
abstained.
So, how many structures have we demolished? And I'm sure your plan is getting ready to come to us soon, but what are you looking at for next year? Has that budget increased? Are you happy with what you've done? Do you want to do more?
Yeah, we have, we've been able to, quite honestly, get the property owners to demolish a good portion of the ones we had on our list.
By being proactive and going after it.
Absolutely.
Good.
So that's the good report. Otherwise, we have demolished, and I don't have the exact number, so please forgive me. It could be, it's at least 7 of them this past year. And our list for going forward is pretty short, but I don't have that information yet, and I can bring it to you at our next meeting.
If you wouldn't mind, Ms. Emlich, maybe just emailing out and showing us what the original list looked like, and then,
Yes.
just
Absolutely.
check.
Yeah, and we also offer that when we put our reports in the book here, that I'm not sure if you read them, but we have our code
Oh,
enforcement
man.
reports in here.
They actually just make me mad, the reports that you present.
That's because we have so many code cases that are open.
Well, it's because you open up new cases,
Yes.
but yet I don't know how in the world you get a resolution on anything. At the end of the day, I don't see anything happen. But y'all opened up a case and you closed the case, but everything still looks terrible. So I don't know. So in an effort to not be critical of staff like I just was, I just read the report, grit my teeth, chew a little hole in my jaw, and realize that Charles doesn't have any hair to pull out. So.
Right. Well, I think with the email that you asked me to send out, we'll also send out what code enforcement is authorized to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And the process, because I know we talked about that, providing the process again. And we'll anyway, we can talk about that as well at the next meeting, the workshop. We can go through that a little bit as well.
Ms. Enders, I think if you would give us some, I don't want to say ammunition, that's too strong a word, but the ability to very basically understand how maybe, and this is critical, but maybe we have a judge that's undermining our efforts locally, and or just energy that's not having follow through on our ability to start, implement a law that's on the books, and then actually have it come to fruition so that something does fundamentally change and the community sees that change,
Right.
so that it can start to effectuate behavior. I mean, you can sit here and write every rule, law, ordinance under the books, but if you're not enforcing anything or actually taking it to where it turns into energy, it's irrelevant. And I think that we have that happening. But I think that there's a fundamental reset that needs to occur, and maybe that's over a cup of coffee at Don's Steakhouse with a judge or something, and saying, "Listen, this isn't to hurt someone that doesn't have two nickels to rub together. This is to help move the needle in Henry County."
And I wouldn't focus so much on the judge, getting to the judge point. It really is the Florida statutes limit what code enforcement can and can't do, and what the length of the process. There are some things that we can shave off here and there, but we are kind of hamstrung with having to follow the Florida statutes, which is very frustrating because there's certain steps and timeframes that you have to go by. So,
Mr. Chairman, I asked Ms. Embledge via our county administrator to have us a diagram that she can take a point or two and just make it as plain as the big nose that's on my face that says, okay, your yard is overgrown, and you get a letter and you don't take action. This is the next box that happens, and this is the next threshold that's now your house has graffiti on it, and or something gets burned to the ground. This is what happens, and this is the next step, so on and so forth, and then foreclosure occurs, and so on and so forth. And I want to learn that process. I've been a commissioner for 8 years. Every time I think I get a grasp of it, I hear, "Oh, no, that's not actually the way it is." What do you mean? It's not, and not from you, but both y'all from time to time have told me stuff, and then it changes. And the statute is now the statute is the reasoning.
Well, we've got two That's going to the judge.
Bite my tongue.
See, we got 2 that are going to the judge. But I don't know how that happens. You know, y'all have explained it to me.
I'll tell you
I'm really, really dense.
after the meeting.
I'm not talking to you after the meeting.
He's got a lot of work to do in 2 weeks.
Man,
Man.
what do you want to talk about? Monkeys after the meeting? But you know, and Ms. Simmons, I think you know that I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I just want to understand the process. I want to try to effectuate change because, you know, we have things that occur. And I'm going to bring up an issue later. And I just think we posture all the time, but we don't have the ability to follow through on our posturing. It's irrelevant.
I think she may feel the same way.
Yeah. Anything? I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
Go Steelers.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Simlich. Hey, and on a good note, please pat yourself and staff on the back for the demolitions and cleanup around the county y'all have done, and please be encouraged to continue doing that. Thank you for being proactive and doing those things. Mr. Parker's going to update us on the solid waste franchise agreement.
I'd like to go.
He's not. What happened?
Number 6.
We're on number 6.
Oh, Mr. Parker's going to talk to us about the update on the solid waste franchise agreement. That's what number 6 is on
That's what number 6 says on all of ours.
Trim notice.
I mean, I can do that one if you want to, and then go to MSP.
I got Murray Road.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, he's got a better. We're being targeted. Ms. Bird, wait, hold on. I think I see a. What does your number 6 say?
Mine say, update on the waste. His says, MSBU.
Do you see what's happened here? Do you see what's happened? It's LaBelle versus Cluster.
Yes, it
That's
is.
what it is.
Yes, it is.
We won.
Yes, it is.
Labellians, you gotta watch them.
We're trying to pull out a win. It's been a
Trying to
while.
be slick. I see how it is, though. Commissioner Harris doesn't believe that I'm.
What does he say?
He's right.
Here, Mike.
Yeah, mine.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah. That's not the one that came with my
Not
bag.
even
Who
highlighted.
in the world printed
Butler goes to work there every day. They've gotten her infiltrated. You're in the LaBelle clique. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't need the agenda.
Okay. Yeah.
LaBelle, you see the trend,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah. Trying
tell
to
you.
make us look bad.
It's real.
Hey, Mr. Parker, what do you want to talk to us about?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
I prefer to do
Murray
the
Road.
MSBU assessment.
How we gonna
Okay,
be
let's do
out
that.
in 20 minutes.
Okay. What I have before you is the MSBU assessment rates for the trim notice, and then initial assessment resolution for Murray Road MSBU. And all the MSBUs, majority of the MSBUs I'm asking to remain the same on the upcoming trim notice, except Jennifer's going to talk to you about fire. So she'll have changes for that. But the first one is Murray Road MSBU. A while back, there were some complaints on Murray Road from residents, and the board created an MSBU. We created MSBU for all the landowners who owned Murray Road.
Yep.
And they gave us easements to make that a public roadway, the ones that we included in MSBU. Then, at the same time, there was landowners to the east of Murray Road, which were accessing Murray Road, and those residents, rightfully so, wanted to add those residents to the MSBU, have them pay their fair share for maintenance of the roadway. So we expanded the boundaries to encompass those parcels. The board approved that boundary change, and that's part of the initial assessment resolution to impose an assessment for Murray Road MSBU on those properties. We don't want to assess all of them. I can't recall how many's in there, but there's 9 parcels right now that have access to Murray Road, whether it's gated and there's no one occupying the building, but that's the main connection to that parcel, or they're actually got a house is fronting it, there's a main ingress, egress out. And what I'd like to do is assess those 9 parcels, but I'd also like to cut the assessment in half from $800 to $400. Now, that seems like a lot of money, but Murray Road is a long road, and if you had it, like my driveway is a quarter mile, $800 is a drop in a bucket, doesn't do jack.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is cut it down to $400. That keeps it feasible, knowing that, we can't make it the Taj Mahal, we can't be out there grading all the time. I donate a lot of labor, do a lot of training on that road with people that want to learn how to motor grade or how to run a skid steer. But
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to delineate Commissioner Wills and his knowledge of that, whole process that Shane's talked to us on. You like it? You like the way it sounds?
I like in the way it sounds, but if I was out there today, and really, he's right. It's in bad shape right now. But the fact is, this is going to go back to the same thing I said earlier. This is something I really wish we would have addressed in LaBelle, to give these property owners the opportunity to be there as well. But yes, $400 still isn't going to cover it. We know
It's not going to cover it, but this will give the residents, this is to put on the trim notice, and in the trim notice, they'll all get notified. We're going to mail letters out to them specifically, and then they'll have a chance to show up to a public hearing on the assessment.
Shane, how did those, I forgot to ask you, how did those 9 get left off the first?
We didn't include them because we were trying to get 51%, and they didn't own Murray Road. We had to get the people who owned Murray Road, which Murray Road runs along the eastern boundary of the parcels that are located on the west side of Murray Road.
Right across the street.
So once we got that boundary approved, we got all the easements. Now it was a public roadway. We expanded to the other side.
So you got the other 9. How many other residences are on that road?
There is 12 that are being assessed on the west side of Murray Road.
Plus 9 is 21.
9's coming on the east side.
And then how many other are there that aren't being assessed on the?
I don't recall, but but they're not accessing.
They're
going to Phillips
So you're
Road.
good with leaving them alone. Everybody's good with leaving them alone.
Yeah,
They'll be
So they
assessed
start
zero.
accessing it.
I like the idea here. It's a good thing you're telling them you're dropping the assessment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
And just to be clear, that also includes that initial assessment resolution that was in your package.
Yeah. So you're still getting your $800, almost.
No, I'm getting the same amount of money, which was $9,600, and then you less out property appraiser, tax collector, stuff like that. It comes up a little bit less. But as the parcels come online, if someone develops on the east side and they want to access Murray Road,
They
no
gotta
problem. You join the assessment club.
And then it's being a portion property. There's people that's using it now, and other people are paying for it. So all that does, it brings into compliance everyone that's actually using that right away.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Good.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Turner. Who seconded? Did you second?
They all did.
Second by Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
All right,
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Parker. Now you want to talk
No,
about some
sir.
solid
I
waste.
still got more MSBU's.
Do you?
You
There's
just
a lot
did.
of them in there, yeah.
Hookers Point Lighting MSBU. The Hookers Point Lighting MSBU is one of the older lighting MSBUs. It was originally Mid-State and Tower Lakes, and we created several other ones like Lake Ridge, Twin Lakes Condominium, Twin Lakes Subdivision, and Sunshine Lake Estates. Due to the increase in electrical costs, there was a large increase actually it started January this year. There's 3 more coming. There's hurricane charges that were approved for FP&L to be able to implement. We've been living off contingencies, so I need to raise the rates up.
What are you gonna raise it to? From to?
I got that in here.
67. Or 110?
Mid-State and Tower Lake Estates would go from $28 to $38 per lot. Twin Lake Subdivision would go from $33 to $67. Lake Ridge Estates would go to $54 to $110. Sunshine Lake Estates would go to $67 to $110.
The only thing that's gonna aggravate people when you do that is there's a number of lights that are out at night.
I
So
did
they're
run.
gonna wanna hit you
I
with
ran that.
tomatoes.
I
Okay.
ran it and only had like 2 out.
Did you go to the Bo Pelham Park?
I did.
Specific?
I told them to go back again because they went and they were working. I said they must have something
Yeah, the
wrong.
ballast is bad.
But a lot of the ones that we found in Hookers Point were private lights that they're paid for, but a majority of ours, except for like 2, were all.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, and I know you know this, the constituent doesn't know what's private versus isn't.
Exactly.
So we need to educate, and then we got to reach out to FP&L or something. But we need to still. I mean, because I think if the county sends in a service call, they'll jump on that. The
Right.
residents probably still be in charge for that private light,
Yeah, they're
whether
paying.
it's burning or not.
They are.
You know?
Right.
So we need to squeeze them on that, Shane, if we
Okay.
can.
And these lights here it sounds like there is a large increase, but you got to remember, Mid-State and Tower Lake has a lot more units, and there's less lights in those neighborhoods, so they're paying lesser. These newer ones have more lights. There's instead of being 150 as in Mid-State, these are 200 high-pressure sodium. They got the vandal shields on. The people wanted more lights. They wanted concrete poles. So I mean, it all adds up. But
I like it. I make a motion to approve said rates.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. That one's for the Hookers Point Lighting MSBU, correct?
and all the little sub MSBU's.
They've
in
all
there.
been
All
they've-
of them together.
They've all been contacted by letter already.
No, they haven't. This will be.
So this will
on-
start that process.
Well, it'll go on a trim notice, and
Okay.
they'll notice on their trim notice. They will get a letter.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why we were compelled to bring it to this meeting. Was 'cause
There will
we
be a
had
letter?
to make
Okay.
decision Tonight, otherwise we do our best to follow the LaBelle issue in LaBelle. But
Okay.
That's something, it's a timing issue.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, the next one, Chairman, is the Port LaBelle Lighting MSBU. There's Port LaBelle units 1, 4, and 5, Tanglewood Oaks, and Oak Haven. I checked Oak Haven. Oak Haven's got plenty of money left in contingency. Their assessment was high enough. They can make it through the next couple fiscal years with FP&L's rate increases. However, units 1, 4, and 5, and Tanglewood Oaks needs an increase in the assessment, and it would be going for the developed lots only. Units 1, 4, and 5 would go from $60 per lot to $72 per lot, and Tanglewood Oaks would go from $32 to $47 per lot.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
The North LaBelle MSBU.
So move on North LaBelle.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Chairman, just for the record, we did check Calusa Estates Lighting, and they are covered with all the rate increases.
Okay.
And they're in the North LaBelle MSBU. All right, Henry County Mosquito Control MSBU. I brought this one back because after the last time you adopted the trim rates, we had a detailed work plan that came back before the board. Commissioner Turner raised it. There was no objection from the board about can we do a certain amount of guaranteed aerial sprays. And so I looked at if you doubled, not acreage, not commercial business, but just the residential lots, and you could get 4 aerial sprays for all your assessed areas.
But you're talking about from 30 to 60?
From 30 to 60, if you wanted to do that.
To go 2 4 sprays?
No,
So it would
Or 4
guarantee
additional.
us,
it would guarantee you 4 aerial sprays for all the assessed areas in the county.
plus the base level of service that we're already giving.
Exactly.
So basically right now, our county engineer would have an aerial service in his back pocket. And I feel that if we have the ability to do this, Clark's been a good vendor. I think that we're gonna get more out of it than what we are putting into it. I mean, I do. Anytime you hire a contractor that's reputable, they're gonna come in and they're gonna give you a great job. And Clark Mosquito is a definition of a reputable contractor. Now, I think there's some constituents that would argue that point because mosquitoes will tote you off when you walk outside. But welcome to subtropical conditions and wet.
It's about $100,000 it'll be almost $100,000 to spray all the assessed areas. That's Felda, Montero, Pioneer, 720 vicinity.
And a doubling of that assessment to residential areas gives you enough coffers to create 400K.
Just about, because we can take, I'd have to use a little bit of the current assessment to do it, but I could get a guaranteed 4 aerial sprays for all the areas. that are
Did I
assessed.
hear the administrator correctly? We need to make a decision on this tonight, or we'll miss the magic window of time.
You have to put,
Okay, so wait, we could. Okay, here's what I
Go down.
propose. I make a motion to accept this proposal. Let's all go back to our respective communities and pitch the heck out of this. We can always pull it.
Right.
If we get
Or
a
less
lot
than
of people that say this is absurd, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Because I've had people. This is one of the few things I've had people tell me. Man, you can charge me more if you're going to promise to kill some mosquitoes.
Right.
Just kill a mosquito.
you can, this will be the trim notice, and then you could
You can
ratchet it
Go
back
back
on
off.
what the actual assessment's gonna be.
Okay.
Clarify that these increases in MSBU's require mail notice explaining the increase first for the law.
Okay.
And so we can do that with a first-class letter mailed in August, but there'd be thousands of these, especially if you're gonna do solid waste. And so our more efficient solution is to include it as an enclosure in the trim notice. And then there's a lot of economies of scale there, it's much cheaper. The property appraiser is a vendor that he uses for the trim notice. Even though the trim notice doesn't go out till like August 10th, and your tax part of that, your millage part of that, doesn't have to go to him till like August 1st. The vendor for this letter enclosure requires that to be all done, buttoned up by July 7th. So that's why we're here in front of you now. So the letter will be written telling people your mosquitoes proposed to go from 30 to 60, and the letter's gonna say that, and everybody's gonna get it, even if in July 11th you say, well, we
Okay.
really don't wanna do this anymore, the letter's gonna be out. Or it's gonna be too far gone to retract.
I like it.
Right.
Although, in September, you can say, at the public hearing, we're not doing 60, we're doing 30, or
Okay.
35, or 40.
So your motion is correct then?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Because they will say something when you double it.
Yeah. But I think when this board can sit here and say, we're gonna put a plane up, I think it's a game changer.
I agree.
Just something to remember in the timeline before you get to July 11th, and then the subsequent meetings after that, is that you still have a 9 a.m. recommended budget workshop meeting on Monday, June 26th. So if you want to go out to your communities, gather some intel, and then bring it to a report, that's a good time to do it in advance of the July 11th
Okay.
meeting as well.
Okay. Very good. Motion moved by Commissioner Turner. Does anyone second that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Byrd. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
All right, the
Solid waste.
Solid waste MSBU. Still negotiating, this kind of blends in with the next update on the solid waste franchise agreement. We're still working with Waste Connections is their new name, on pricing, but going with all their pricing that they gave me the first go around, you're looking at about $247 per dwelling unit. Now, before it was $242.60 in the south and Felda, and $221 in the north. The majority of the county is $221.
Yeah.
So it's $247, and that was with 2-day-a-week pickup. So I just went because I don't know what you're going to do when the time comes with the contract, but this is trim, so I have to go on the high end. Then I looked at other costs that we typically don't think about. Staff time for processing, dealing with Lee County with all the invoicing, recycling, household hazardous waste. We collect it. We got to pay to get rid of it. When I looked at that, it was around $34 per dwelling unit. So that got me up to $281, and then we're pretty successful every year in getting a grant for small county grant to help aid in collection disposal. It's usually about $11 a unit, so I ratchet it back down to $270. Now, in my opinion, you should put it at $270, and once we get closer, we can ratchet that down. Or if you don't feel comfortable, leave it at $270 next year. Depending on the option you go, if our recycling increase with larger cans, that means our disposal costs are going to go down because we're recycling, we're not paying for disposal. There'll be another cost savings, and you can trim the assessment down further. But right now, my recommendation is $270. That's my.
Is that one pickup or two?
That's assuming 2-day-a-week pickup.
So if you change to one, that'll go down.
It'll go down some, yes, sir.
Well, you'd think it'd go down.
But I've got revised numbers coming next week from Waste Connections, and we'll see where we go from there. But
You're all gonna have bigger cans, right?
bigger cans. Yes.
Why would it not go down significantly, Mr. Chair, if you went 1 day pickup?
I want to say it was going to go down about $19, but
That's all?
that was it.
Doesn't
But
sound like much.
with that being said, they're moving the same amount of trash with its 2-day-a-week pickup or 1 day. It's the same volume of trash.
That's
The
what
only-
they fill
With
you.
the same truck, same labor, same everything.
Where that
No, actually, it's not.
No, it's not.
They're going to an automated service there. That's going to be a truck that has one can. They pick up that can with automation. They don't have two guys on the truck.
He
There
told me
should be a
that
big difference.
when I spoke to them, they said they probably would not do that. They said because most of our communities were rural and sparsely populated, and the expense of that truck to pick up one here and then go 2 blocks over Montour for the next one, you're better off at that point it only works if you've got house after house after house.
Well, yeah, and it only works if people actually recycle. But here's the thing: you're about to over double this, and you're going to tell them you're going to pick it up once a week.
No. I'm asking.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
But to me, it doesn't. I mean, if we went to once a week, I don't see why it doubles it. You know what I mean?
Well, you're going from
You're thinking
I don't see
120.
why it doesn't cut it in half.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going from 121 to 270.
Yeah.
And then on the same token, we're going to turn around and say, well, we'll pick it up once a week. Yeah, I don't think that's
Well,
going
the
to float.
270 was twice a week.
Okay, but you could go. Okay, but yeah, but to that point, you could go to 250 So you're still doubling it, and you're gonna pick it up once a week.
Right.
But
I think they're crazy for saying that it's about the same number.
Well,
I
we
mean,
went-
I don't know what company they run,
Well,
but
I'll tell you
if
what.
I'm putting a truck on the road with a human driving it, and it's going to the same number of units per county, that's crazy.
They're doing it in the city of LaBelle now with one pickup, and I've been talking to them as well. And maybe I got the wrong information because I thought it was gonna be a significant saving to the county by going to 1 day a week. And if there's not, then
The savings.
just leave it at 2 days and don't jack that up 100%.
But Shane, when you say doubling it, if we hadn't paid that money back for how many years that we've been paying?
We paid $221 forever. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Had we not cut it in half? Yeah, I told him that,
Yeah, so-
Commissioner Harris, but he's
I-
like, no, you're talking like a
Cause
politician.
say
How
221,
dare you?
so you're really going from 221 to 270, cause that, and we give them
That's
that
it.
money, but when they looked at their bill, they're gonna look at it and say, well, why did you go from 110 to 270?
Right.
It'd be your fault.
No, even in, just for sense of argument here, if we're gonna say you've done that forever and the money was there, the bank was built, if we're going back to something, why not go back to the 221? Rather than jumping right up to 270. $50 don't sound like a lot, but to some people, $50 is a lot.
Well, $50 is a lot, especially whenever you realize what you're running that through per unit. That's
Right.
a lot of money.
Especially when they're only gonna do it once.
My question is, but once a week has not been proposed. It's just been
We're
asked
gonna-
by me
I'm
and
gonna
Commissioner
bring-
Harris.
I'm gonna bring back an option that shows 2 days a week,
And 1
and
day.
I'm gonna bring back that shows 1 day a week.
Cause he's
I
gonna
think we're
save
being
money.
told. I think we're being told it doesn't make cost-effective sense because I think that
Well, they told me they're gonna have a larger can, and 1 day a week, where you filled up one can, you could put it all in one can, so they wouldn't run the truck that day. They come by my house on Thursday.
Yeah, they're still gonna be running, it'll just be a different route. And think about this now, a larger can, say you have an elderly person living by themselves. How's she gonna take that can out to the road? It's bigger, she probably struggles with the one she has, or he does. Either way, case there, so,
We talked to him about that,
yeah, I did too, and
and he
that's,
said, we'll
They
help
would
them
come.
get the can out.
They said they'd accommodate.
Because that's
yeah.
all they
Well,
could
he told
say.
me that too, but
What I know.
I won't
what
tell you
I
the
know
term
to-
for that, but.
What I know to date, and speaking to the contractor, is 2 days a week or 1 day a week, same volume of trash. Is how they estimate it. Whether you put it out 1 day or 2 days, because they say some days they go by, there's no trash on that second day at some residents. Sometimes it's just spread out, takeout account parties and stuff like that, but where it flux. But they're looking at automated service
They do it
with a larger
twice.
can, and there is a secondary can, I think it's a 65-gallon can, if the large can's too big. Recycling would be 1 day a week, but the intent was if you went 1 day a week, it would force you to recycle more. And if you recycle more, then your disposal cost for your garbage would be less, and then you get a savings from there. But we don't know what the savings is going to be until you start forcing people to recycle.
And on the
well,
second
it's
side of that,
mandatory. Every business has to
yeah,
recycle.
they may not recycle anyway, so then you're gonna have garbage on the side of the road.
Nobody recycles.
There's a lot to that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
my question, Shane, to you has, and I want to know how you've worked this into there is, I don't know if we're calling it amnesty or what, but prior to me being elected, when you cut down your oak tree, you called up the county sent the waste hauler out there with the clam truck, they picked it up, they threw it away, and it was on the county's dollar. It happened.
No, well, I didn't know it happened.
For 2 years it happened while I was elected, and it was over a $200,000 cost to the county for disposal of said
That was
stuff.
probably through,
At one point, WSI would do that.
They would.
They would do that as a courtesy.
They didn't do it as a courtesy. They did it.
They did some.
They did it as a courtesy. Yeah, they did it to a courtesy for Commissioner Harris's constituents. For Commissioner Turner's constituents, they went over and they picked it up and they threw it away. But then they gave the tipping fee. They gave the bill to the county, and the county paid it religiously. Didn't question it. We picked up the tab, and the waste hauler was being nice. They weren't charging us. Now it's $35 per time the truck goes like this and puts it into the vehicle. I want to know. I want to know what that hard cost is, and I want to get away from this concept of It has to be in 4-foot lengths, less than 6 inches in diameter, bundled with a piece of twine,
Well, I
or put in a
spoke-
garbage can. 31 garbage cans on your, so, because the reality is, it's not happening.
Right.
And it's encouraging people to go and dump an oak tree in a ditch off of Art Lawrence Road or something along those lines, and it's just not conducive to the constituents.
I spoke to the franchise hauler at our last meeting. They don't have a claw truck. They have an old one somewhere else that they could get. Most of the people are complying, not all of them, but a majority of them are complying. So I looked at the possibility when I did my budget. If the assessment was at $270 when I did my draft budget, paid for everything, there was a little bit of money in contingencies for fixing landfills and stuff if there's a problem, but there would be a little bit of money left over that we could send a claw truck around every so often if the board chose to, and pick up all these piles like you just do like a neighborhood sweep with a claw truck versus you do it every week and then you don't, everybody else is complying or picking it up, and you just got Margaret over here that was the violator, you pick her up, but you just ran the truck the whole day for no reason.
Can we try that on a pilot? And I don't know if it's a quarterly or bi-monthly or what.
That would be my recommendation, do it maybe quarterly.
Call in.
And then Shane, if somebody wants to call in, I don't know. Obviously, I'm getting into a day-to-day operation,
Right.
but I think that this needs to be a created policy. So I don't know how we couple this with the amnesty days that we already have. We've had a tremendous amount of our constituents get ready for hurricane season. That's great. It's going to create less down power lines. There's a lot of different reasons why that helps on infrastructure. I don't want to create a situation where contractors and or bad people are taking advantage of us and putting 65 tires out on an empty lot, and we're going by and picking those up with the claw truck.
Right.
But at the same time, we need to get a handle on this, and this is something that, you and I both know in business sometimes you have to find things for people to do, and this would be a good thing where if it was put on a calendar, this would be something where we're into that dead time and people can go around and do it. This would be a huge savings. So much so two crazy suggestions is, and I've said this to both of y'all a number of times, and when you drive by your road and bridge department here on Clewiston, I don't know about Hookers Point, but I don't know about in LaVelle. We have two big piles that could be lit at any given time.
Right.
But how nice would it be if we had like a community mulch pile that people could get to and put it into a park or put it whatever they want to do with it. And then the same thing with tires on grinding those. I think a tire grinder is like $180,000 or $250,000. But we have a problem with tires in the county. And those are just things I want you to consider with our solid waste
Okay.
as an overall service.
Right, no problem, but I don't have a contract, any hard numbers to bring you, so
Yeah.
because of the trim notice requirements, I'm saying put it at 270 based on the numbers that come across the bow, worst case scenario, doing 2 days a week, because we don't know which way you're going to go, plus the hard costs that I know have based on household hazardous waste disposal, staff time involved in solid waste.
So
It's
you won't-
270.
We don't have a number until he negotiates.
270 2 times a week on the pickup. It's a $49 increase.
And then you're gonna negotiate with him on the one
That's
pickup?
on the outside.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
High
negotiate
side.
the contract now. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
keeping it like it is, the service like it is 270.
and then we
Right
don't
now,
try to
worst
get
case
that
scenario.
down.
Yeah, but the original was 221, but now they're paying 121. So there's a difference in $49, more difference than $49.
Yeah, about $50.
You know what? No, I want the notice to be at 221. I want to take it back to its original. If it doesn't work, the franchise hauler has to find a way to make it work. Costs have not gone up. Volume has increased. They have to be making more money off of the numbers that are in there. If y'all want to argue, want to debate, I'm all about listening to it. And I want to hear from you as well.
All right, I did speak to the contractor about, well, just to heck with it. What if we just keep it like it is and just do the CPI? He's like, we can do that. Don't change nothing. Just, CPI, if it's warrants, we'll do that. And that's the backfall that we have. But right now, I think it's foolish to go ahead and do 221 without having the budget run the numbers to make sure I'm covering staff time and that cost, what it is, because I wasn't prepared to come in to find out what we're currently paying right now for that, because I was looking at worst case scenario automated pickup, If you go 270, you can always ratchet it back down and
It's
end
not
up.
gonna happen. I've sat here for 8 years now. We never ratchet back. Give me your millage at 7.99 or 23, and we'll pull it back. We introduce it at 7.99 or 23. We set the millage at 7.99 or 23. Even with all you staunch Republicans, we still keep it right up there what we advertised it at. So, and your old Democrat over here is going, we need to pull it back.
Well,
Pull it back.
and the other side of that, you just said that the hauler said just leave it like it is.
He
Don't
said,
change anything.
right.
So if we agree to 221, we're still giving you,
You're,
because right now he's saying don't worry about it, just leave it like it is.
well, we're using the contingencies to pay for everything because we're not even collecting what it's costing us to put out. The problem is,
You spend
if
all
you
that
don't
money.
set the trim notice right, and we can't balance the budget, then someone has to tell us how. We got to have a funding source to cover the shortfall, which the trim notice is already set, and I don't know what happens after that.
Well, when I
I
read
totally
this,
agree with what Commissioner Turner said. It's going somewhere, and it's there. But I think that we collectively made a bad decision when we took off the table the ability to bid this out and allow those other businesses to figure out how to make it happen at the 221. Now we're dealing with
can't
one guy.
argue. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think, the open market fixes a lot of things.
Yeah.
But for me, Commissioner, can I ask a question? When you're saying contingency, how deep in the contingencies are we? Is the well dry?
Well, it's just we won't. Yeah, it's dry.
Okay.
the money that's been coming out of solid, what I read in there, this is to put back money into solid waste, is that correct?
This is solid waste MSBU fund
Only.
Right, and there was, at one point, there was a rather large sum there, isn't that correct?
I read some is
Over
gone.
5 million.
So.
They
yeah,
throttled
but
it
no,
back. Just to
no,
be clear, they throttled the assessment back.
I understand, but if you put it back to where it was, what's to say that it's not gonna gain that money back,
Well,
rather than increasing it?
I did look at that. I didn't try to throttle it back to where we had a large contingency of $4 million. I want to say I did the budget where I had maybe $500,000 in there for Pioneer Landfill, any other landfills that we're responsible for that we could have issues because we're stuck with at Everglades,
Yeah.
the old landfill in the front, one that we don't know it's in the RPZ, and one that we dump stuff in a hole. So
And you could have one rear its head over there off Pratt Boulevard as well.
exactly. And when things happen at that one, I usually take it out of solid waste to go fix it. So I have those out there. I have an escrow account I have to keep in place for the Pioneer landfill for I think another 2 or 3 years. And then I was leaving a little bit of money for going around the curbs picking up trash. So, and I tried to do it where I set the rate where it would be you wouldn't have to raise it in 2 years.
Yeah.
It was at a
I
good rate.
think that Shane is doing his best job to be conservative and have as much money as he can to cover his budget, plus any rainy day issues that may occur. Did I just make a motion? Did I make a motion?
No, I don't think you did. I don't think you did.
I'll make a motion to go a cap of 240. I can't go to 270. I haven't met with him enough to be really drilled in on this, but to Commissioner Wills' point, I mean, I don't want to say we're doubling the assessment. We're reinstituting an assessment, and the biggest reason why we cut that back is we were looking for any way possibly that we could to reduce the burden on the county taxpayers in the doldrums of the economic downturn. And now it's moving just a little bit. Let's take it back to where it was, plus $20. Next would be plus $39 to go to 240. I know that's an arbitrary number. Trying to meet you halfway, Shane. And then I want to do everything in my power to keep it at 221 whenever we actually set that number. So I made that in the form of a motion, and I'd love for y'all to debate it.
When he goes back, it could come back cheaper than 240.
Yes, sir.
I think we need to allow him to run the numbers first before we,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
make
not,
a decision, because he haven't ran the numbers yet. He just talking, off the top, but.
I mean, I went with renegotiating the contract, having fancy cans 2 days a week, hoping that maybe you go 1 day a week, we can cut stuff off, and the next year you can cut if the disposal costs come down, cut it again. But at 240, I can't sit here and tell you that we're going to balance the budget and do everything. I'm not going to.
You're going to give him the households, but not tell him how much. And then he's going to come back and tell you we can do it for.
I mean, I'm looking at all options. If it's 7 years, can we go 10 years? I'm asking Mark to look into that. I've got to look into it. We're looking at all kind of different scenarios of how we can get the price down. But right now, 1 day a week's $20 a residence. So at 270, it goes to 250. Might be able to go lower, but
$10.
I can't tell you. I mean, I just can't tell you right now that 240 is going to balance the budget because I don't know what's going to happen if it doesn't.
I would love to know too, what do our constituents think about 1 versus 2 days? I don't know. This is not an issue that I've talked with people about very much at all.
I haven't
I do know that our constituents want matching cans. That's something, I mean, countywide, our constituents have beat me up on. They want garbage cans to look the same. I didn't realize it was such a big issue.
Uniform, they want uniform.
They want uniform garbage cans, baby.
Okay.
So,
And
All right.
if they recycle, you can do one a week.
The only thing, like I said, the only thing I'm saying is, if he's saying I can come in there and do it right now, leave it alone, I think at going to 240, we should be able to put money back in reserves, because to me, it looks like we're trying to build the reserve back up. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, so
We
we're still gonna be in the hole?
We're trying to build the reserve up some, but not to where it was. We're spending more than we're collecting. And I gotta leave a little bit in there for if anything happens at any of these landfills, because you don't have any money to give me out of the general fund, so it has to come out of the MSBU. And then I have to make sure I have enough to cover the escrow we have required by DEP, which is only like, I think 80,000 or something like that, but I gotta make sure I have that in there. I mean, I'm not trying to build up a large nest egg by no means,
you're trying to cover your bases.
Break
Get
even.
it?
because you ain't gonna give me no money, so. I don't know where we're gonna get it from, Road Bridge ain't got it, so.
No, once again, I agree with you. I know you're not comfortable with the 240, but I'm just not comfortable with the 270. It's gonna be hard for me to go and sell that. I mean, it's the will of the board, so.
And you're saying it'd be 270 max until you get a firm number.
Well, it's 270 max, and then
On the trim.
once you know and you make a decision which way you're gonna go, you still have to set.
The actual
You have
ones.
to approve the trim rates. You can say, nope, we've thought about it. We heard all we want to hear about it. It's going to be 240. By that time, I'll have numbers.
right.
You're just setting it to notify the public. You can come down. It's not the final stab at it.
And the gravity is if we set it at 240 and it comes back at 255, we're going to have to eat that out of somebody.
Yeah,
Are we going to lay off Road and Bridge folks to pay for it, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
you can't go forward the same way you can go backwards?
So you can't run
You
it
can't
up?
add.
You can't
cannot
go back.
add. You can go down, but you can't go
I
up.
don't know, just
You have to have
240.
that today?
I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around it.
Yes.
At one point, we're making the money. Why are we not? I mean, we're at 121 now, correct? What the paper says?
That's what it would have been.
That's what
Right.
it would have been. What are they actually paying now? I thought I read they was actually paying
110
it now.
and some change.
110,
Okay.
But that's at
and
the
you want to go to
rollback.
270.
but
Well,
it
they were
should,
originally paying 221,
Right.
correct?
Exactly.
That's my
And they
whole
built
thing.
up the big nest egg, but then rolled back to use the nest egg. But now, obviously,
the nest egg.
it's gone. Now we've got to go back to that 220,
Yeah, a
240.
lot of people out there that you're asking to give this money up, taking it out of their nest egg.
That's right. I agree.
So.
But it is the cost of the government. You know, and I wish we could do it for free, but we can't.
You also have to figure out in that same thing, do you want to have all these larger containers, like large recycle bins, these little tote bins? That's several hundred thousand right there. You got to buy 7,155 cans at like
The
60
little
bucks.
totes are several, or the bigger.
The big containers.
Yeah.
They're, I want to say 60, 70 bucks a pop. Need 7,000.
He's gonna furnish those, isn't he?
Well, it's going to be in the contract price.
Yeah, he's gonna furnish them. Yes, sir.
What Shane is telling us is that we're under duress because of the July 7th deadline to get it in the trim notice with the property appraiser's process. We still have an opportunity to give him 2 weeks, finish whatever negotiations can be finished within the 2 weeks, understanding what he's heard tonight as a certain level of acceptability. He can beat on the franchise hauler a little bit, come up with some better numbers. We'll expand the scope of that meeting on Monday, the 26th, and bring that in for a final decision for the board at that time. And give him time to work with the hauler, let them get some numbers back to him, see if 240 is viable, and bring back that analysis to you at that time.
No, if you tell your franchise hauler 240 is gonna work, they're gonna get it at 240.
Well, it's
You know,
gonna
to me, that's what I'm saying. I don't even want to be anywhere near 270. You know, they can make that work all day long.
You're saying they can read and they'll see what we set it at.
1,000% is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm saying, Commissioner Swindle, is to your point about why didn't we bid that? Well, by God, there's something to be said about giving you 7 years worth of business. Now make it work, guys. Make it work and understand where we were at 221, and understand that the citizens of Indian County, there's still a burden that we're trying to overcome here a little bit. We're contemplating this recycling concept 1 day a week. Everybody wants matching tennis shoes, so give us matching tennis shoes, okay? In the form of big green or big blue totes. I don't care what they are, but make them look uniform so that we all feel big city. I guess that's where we're getting it from. I don't know. Because in St. Pete, recycling is not a discussion. You have to do it. In Monroe County, it's not a discussion. You have to do it. I'm not trying to say I want to be West BOCC, because I know we're not. But at the same time, we are going to have to get in 2017, 2020 one day. And recycling is going to be a way to lower that cost per unit. And I think that we can increase the return of services for a lower cost per unit if we can implement recycling. But boy, the teeth gnawing and gnashing and screaming and all that stuff that we're going to hear, it's going to be tough. So, I think that's one way of looking at it too, Shane, is talk to them about recycling and get serious about it. What happens if we make recycling mandatory? And right now, recycling is mandatory for every business in Henry County. Did you know that? Every business in Henry County has to recycle.
If they want to.
No, sir. It is mandatory. It is mandatory, buddy. It's on the books, and I believe you can be arrested, if you don't recycle. Just like I had a constituent that's going to get a $140 a day fine, if they don't get their permit redone, stat. Let's get to reality also. Where are we on what is the cost per unit going to be? Show us that. Remember, not a rocket scientist, nor do I pretend to be one. So put it out in a very simple Excel spreadsheet where I can look at what the cost per unit is going to be, what that total number is going to be, know what your delta is at 221. That's where you were. The more I hear, the more I'm not even wanting to approve 240. But I still make that in the form of a motion because they're going to be right at it. They're going to be, we can do it for 237.50.
Well, they won't be able to do it for $237.50. I'm not trying to argue, but I know my costs. Looked at it is $34. What the $34 of the assessment covers the staff for solid waste, household hazardous waste, exclusive of the franchise hauler.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that's clear. That 30, so it'd be like 206. You better do it for. So I'm just providing information.
And the reason why he's been able to do it for 110 for X number of years is because we've been just taking money out of the solid waste MSBU and making his deal whole.
That's it.
That's it. So we've been upside down now for going on 5-6 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
And we knew that going
into it. We did. But it was to the benefit of the taxpayers. Taxpayers are more fickle than a pretty girl. They're not going to remember any of that. It is what it is, So I make my motion.
There's a formal motion presented by Commissioner Turner to make the solid waste MSBU at $240. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second from Commissioner Wills. Any further discussion?
Just remember, it'll have to be 240 or under.
240 or under. We cannot go up until this time next year.
And we bring it back on the 26th.
If we set it now, we'll bring it back. We can go down, but we will not go up.
You can't go up.
We usually do it in September, don't we?
Well, no, he put out the option of you taking action on June 26th instead of tonight, but I've not heard that.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry. So on this particular one, we can wait until...
We can take it to staff direction that it is not to exceed 240. Shane, you have his marching orders. We'll beat the snot out of the deal and see how low it can go, and then bring that back on the 26th. And if you want to change it...
To set that trim? Can we wait to set the trim till then?
But you're talking about the solid waste special.
Yeah, on that.
We can expand the meeting notice that's already out there for the workshop, expand it to include a meeting, to include this as an agenda item.
For just this one.
You can add anything you want to the agenda as long as we notice it.
Yeah.
But it's a workshop right now, so we're going to have to change it to a meeting and specially notice it. And
Let's do that.
We'll do that. We got the newspaper published.
Is that on the 26th?
So let's table this. Can we? So you're saying we can table this particular one? And this trim, setting this trim?
You can table until June 26th. That's soon enough for us. For staff, that's soon enough.
Because I think, to your point, if you set a number, they'll meet it. So why not let's let them give us a number and say yes or no?
Let's do that.
I say drive the stake in the ground.
We'll drive it to 26.
240 or less.
26. We'll drive it.
What's going to change? I'm just asking.
We hope.
This is a great debate, by the way.
We hope
this is healthy for the constituents of Henry County.
Hope it does.
Any preliminary reason to think, Shane, that they'll be able to meet that 206 or lower? That's hopefully what will change.
I mean, they could keep their current method of collecting. Can we just renew it for another 7 years, or whatever you wanna do.
And that means not by.
I don't know what that assessment's gonna be, I'm gonna have to go figure that back
That's
up.
right.
I didn't run that scenario, cause I was running scenarios on what the
Right.
change is gonna be.
So what we don't know is the current numbers at where we are. What would it be if they just left it alone? And hopefully it'll be 206 or less,
Then if
200, 190, and then we're well below.
Would that leave the cans alone?
If you, I
Could,
don't know.
I mean,
The scenario I'm gonna run back when I go back is assume a rough CPI index increase, maybe compared to the last one. Felicia gave me that information. I'll do that, I'll run my budget, balance out, make sure I have enough to cover my escrow plus any little snafus, and we go from there.
What, you help me get there, y'all, what changes in 13 days that makes this decision that
He'll
way?
have more final numbers.
he'll have a.
It'll be
he'll
coming
have
from
a-
them
Cause we're having
rather than
another,
us telling them, well,
Then we don't have
240 or
to do it.
270, and they'll meet it.
We'll do what we want to.
Well, like Commissioner Turner said, though, you got a company, you're telling them, I'm gonna give you 7 years of work. You need to meet this number.
That's it.
Well, Shane will be telling them that.
tell them that, see what happens.
And he's going to tell them way lower. He's going to tell them 190 or something like that.
The reason being, Mark, is just to clarify is.
Well, they didn't wanna go out to bid, I can tell you.
Last meeting, we
No, they
set
did
the
not.
trim.
Right.
If they,
So,
The
June
Jul-
26th, and the next time we're gathering, they're gathering prior to the July 7th property appraiser vendor's deadline.
Be an actual board meeting to set that trim.
I am also requesting formally from our vendor the numbers on paper. I want to see how they're arriving at what they're telling us. It hurts my brain trying to wrap around your number is going to be $19 less for sending trucks out to every unit in the county, and it's only gonna reduce that by $19. That's a smoke and mirrors move.
For a household.
That's a service electrician saying, we're gonna charge you $95 to come and look at it, or you're gonna hire us for 3 hours, and then we're gonna build that into the call. Yeah, okay, I can't do math, you know.
There's containers in there too. I haven't looked at how much. I did, but I don't remember what it was, but there's 7,000 containers in there.
That's a lot of money.
Somewhere so you know that there are 7,000 containers in this bid somewhere that's been proposed.
Yes, because I did the math on why it's like 7,155 homes time.
Yes, sir.
I think I did $60 a can,
Yes, sir.
and
Well, it'll give you some,
that's a big chunk of
it'll
change.
give
Yeah,
you
yeah.
some negotiating power.
Yeah, I mean,
Cans.
yeah, is that annualized? Is that amortized over 7 years, or is that one fell chunk right now?
No, it's over.
Okay.
That's because it's going to be per dwelling unit. And
Yes, sir.
It's over the 7-year period. And
Okay.
they're looking at doing all automated curbside pickup. So that's all that new equipment, because they're not doing that now. They got the rear loader.
But see that right there? That's to me, that's not a cost that we should have to bear. That's that company making that decision to go in automation. They clearly are seeing a return on investment. I don't need to hear how that's a cost that's running up my ability to do business with you. You're making that conscious decision. If it works out to where you need 2 humans hanging off the back of your truck and you're going to be able to get us at 196, guess what? We like that idea too. But I'm not into running their day-to-day operation.
yeah, I was actually told that was way more efficient and cost-effective to go to the automated 1 day a week. That's the reason we're having a discussion.
But yet our cost is
I'm
going
actually
up.
talking with them as well, and I'm getting 2 different things.
But our cost is going up.
No, what
They're way
they're,
more efficient, but the cost is going
what
up.
they're
I'm sorry.
figuring in though is they want us to buy the trucks.
They're trying to add that in, yes. But
So
I'm not asking you to buy my car.
So we're at a conundrum, and in lieu of, we obviously need to make this decision, make a right decision, but we need to make some headway as well. So we
So,
do
Mr.
have a
Chair-
motion and a second to
Yeah.
set the trim at 240.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes.
All right, and then I guess, Jennifer, which fire are you going to be talking about? East only? So other than East Fire, can I have all the current assessments approved for all the other MSPUs as is for the trim notice?
So moved. Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? I would like to hear all of them, if that's okay.
No, you would not.
I can't write them all. I can go off memory with them.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes.
Hey, Shane, do you think could you recite all of them, do you think?
I can probably get most of them.
Yeah.
You want me to try?
No, not at all.
And then I don't have anything on solid waste because we just beat that dog. So.
Dead.
That dog. It's time to take the
horse.
saddle. Take the saddle off that horse. He is done. Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Yes, good
I'm here to talk to you about the fire MSBU's. Last year, the legislature passed a law that exempted agricultural land and buildings for fire assessments. In doing so, it eliminated 270,000 acres and 22,000 square feet of buildings for the east and 253,000 acres and almost 47,000 square feet of buildings for the west. So that is what initially triggered us to go and reanalyze the fire MSBU's, and in doing so, we found that West Fire could continue without an increase, but East Fire needed an increase. West Fire, the impact was 38,000. East Fire was 76,000, I believe. In addition to that amount of money on the east side, the expenses have been exceeding what we've been bringing in on the East Fire MSBU as well. So we came up with a recommendation of increase for the assessments, and we would like for your input and consideration for East Fire for not to exceed.
And the recommendation is a 35% increase. That is to cover the extra costs that you're currently not covering, as well as losing the ag land that will now become exempt.
Correct.
You've been using contingent fund
Yes.
to offset?
Yes.
And what you're asking for is, again, it's basically to bring it back to the $613,000. That would be the break even for what you're currently seeing as cost.
Yes. For the last 2 years, for the city of Clewiston, there's been a reconciliation factor at the end of the year for their audit. It usually comes a year later, and those last 2 years of reconciliations have been excessive as far as us not being able to anticipate those costs. We're working on a 1986, I believe, agreement with the city of Clewiston, so our recommendation is to increase the assessment so we can cover our costs for the agriculture elimination. Also increase it a little bit more to be able to cover costs. I did a 7-year projection over the last 7 years for East and West Fire, both for all the fire departments. But then to go back to the city of Clewiston and renegotiate that agreement going forward, and then hopefully to be able to rein in or have a maximum not to exceed amount, at least without coming back and having the conversation with you, the board, before, we have to incur those costs moving forward.
So the city pays same as the county?
Yes, they do. Correct.
Okay. Is there any will of the board?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Obviously, our structures, our dwelling unit per square feet is what renders the most cost. Renders the most revenues into the stream.
The vacant residential and the single family?
Yes.
Yes. Correct.
How many structure fires a year do we average? Does anybody have that number?
I asked Adrian for those figures. I do not have them for you tonight. We do have them for the unincorporated, but he's requested them from the cities, and that was information. Again, this is a not to exceed, and so between now and September, when you make these numbers final, we will have all the number of fires incorporated and unincorporated for both of the fire departments to bring back before you, so you can have more information to make that decision as well.
Okay, great. I'd just love to know that, and then love to know what our costs are because it looks to me like first responders is the big cost to us from our volunteer fire department attending to. And I know, like, when you start talking about that issue in Pioneer, Flagpole, Montura, that's the people that are going to be there. It's going to be your volunteer firemen. So I want to know what that is from a time standpoint and from a financial burden.
Does the East have any full-time?
No.
All volunteer?
I think that's correct, right? There's no
That's
full-time.
my understanding,
Right.
correct? I mean, there's a marshal, I believe.
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
I think we share them.
Yeah, he's employed by the city though, right? I don't even think he's full-time. Well, I don't know. What do I know?
I don't know.
Who is that, Travis?
Is that Travis?
Yeah, but I think
Travis? He does some city responsibilities as well.
right.
He rotates.
Yes, that's right.
And Montour doesn't have any full-time fire
think so.
slash.
No.
None of our unincorporated is all volunteer.
Okay. So what is your bottom line increase request? 35%?
Correct.
Yep. So you want that in the form of a motion? 35% increase, not to exceed.
Correct.
So moved.
A second.
With more data to come back and more discussion to have.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
They hurt my eyes.
Attorney Lapp.
Yes, Value Adjustment Board is to start meeting soon. You appoint a homeowner annually to serve on the board. Mr. Howell's been on it for 3 years now. It's your decision about whether to reappoint or somebody new.
Has he been contacted to ask if he have desire to stay?
He will.
You will? Okay. Is anyone opposed to allowing Mr. Howell to stay on the board? Does anyone have anyone else that's burning to do it? You want to we need a form of a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Harris to keep Mr. Howell on the Value Adjustment Board, second by Commissioner Wills. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. You want to keep going, Attorney Lapp?
Yes, next one is authorization to apply for tax deeds on 430 parcels in total values 1 through 9. Try to get these as performing parcels again, paying taxes. And
So
then
what do y'all want to do? I like it. Where are we at?
Okay, Mark, so like if you go through all this and do the paperwork, you, the clerk, tax collector, is that correct? The clerk, tax collector, and you?
mainly the tax collector or the clerk, not much of it.
So when you start, are we 3 years out, 4 years, 5 years before we can do anything?
You mean if it's cheats to the county?
Yeah.
Well, after you get through with the tax process and we try to sell it, at the public bid, if nobody buys it, it goes on the list of lands available for 3 years before it goes to the county.
Man.
So you gotta wait 3 years.
But the reality is we need to start the process. In your professional opinion, Ms. Butler? Make it happen?
Well, thank
Or
you.
let it lie?
That's, do what?
Or let it sit?
That's strictly up to you.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Well, yeah, what's the best way to put it back into production?
With all due respect, Ms. Butler, you got a few more gray hairs than I do, and you've been doing this game a little bit longer. I can assure you, before I made a decision on something like this, I'd come aggravate you. What would you do? If it was your money, what would you do?
Well, if you want to get the property back on the tax road, I would say, and I'm like Mark on the Port LaBelle lots up front, to start there, because they'll go faster.
Yes, ma'am.
And then hopefully as that progresses, then start moving out, but you gotta start somewhere.
So be strategic about what you start to acquire and start the rolling.
Mhm.
Who disagrees with that?
I do not at all.
I wanna get it on tax roll.
Yep.
That's what everybody, all those lots in Port LaBelle, everybody wants to get something out of them.
Then Ms. Davis, finding $86,000 here and there, you'll be able to do without.
So I found that to go ahead and start with this.
Okay.
And then every year we can budget the amount.
Mr. Chair, do you need it in the form of a motion?
I think we do.
I'll make a motion to start
Second.
the process.
Motion
To apply
moved
for
by
the tax deeds with Ms. Davis.
for the 430.
And
Motion
then-
moved by Commissioner Turner to apply for the 430 tax deeds, second by Commissioner Harris.
And then, that money will eventually go back in to pay this 86,000.
Pay that back, yeah. Right, as we sell them.
No, this could end up being a loss for us financially.
Yeah, because someone else could buy it along
I
the way,
didn't
right?
think it
Yeah.
would.
If they get, we apply for the tax deed and somebody buys the parcel at the tax deed auction, our expense will be part of what they need to pay, right? To be
When you say your expense,
the application fee that we're paying to them.
that's always
That will,
always done.
so that'll be included. So we will get reimbursed if somebody buys it at the auction. If somebody doesn't buy it at the auction, buys it off the lands available for tax at some point over the next 3 years, we'll get reimbursed then. If it is cheats to us, we won't get reimbursed until we sell it, and then we get to
But,
recoup the
but
sale proceeds, and we can reimburse ourselves then, and then give the rest over to Plus. That
but
was
we
the
can,
plan.
we can sell it at our price, right?
Right,
Yeah.
just like we've done with
Right.
Ventura.
Yeah, but reality,
We want, it's gotta be under 5,000.
yeah. So-
I'd rather
so-
someone buy it right off the bat.
What I'm not understanding with you, Mark, is you say the county, if it goes to the county and then the county sells it, then you're gonna take your expenses off the top of that, and then the rest of it goes to Port LaBelle Utilities, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm suggesting to the board.
Okay.
That, and that's, I mean, those are sale proceeds from a lot we own at that point, so we get to decide, you get to decide,
Right.
divvy up that money, and I'm suggesting pay yourself back, pay the general fund back for going out of pocket here in 2017,
How much of the $86,000 though per parcel do we pay back?
the $200, it's $200 application fee.
So you're taking your $200 off of, say we sold for $6,000, you're taking your $200 off, and then the other $5,800 goes to Port LaBelle.
That's what I'm suggesting, but the board decide that, because Port LaBelle's in
Okay,
a,
and another thing I want to caution the board about, and I'm not, you know, I'm for this, but I've got one girl that does tax deeds. One girl. I don't have time to help her. You know, she has, you know, she's booking it now to keep up with what I apply for every year. If this becomes overwhelming, I'm gonna need some help. I don't think it will, but just in case, I want y'all to be fully aware that,
She'll have to pace herself.
Okay, we'll
Yes,
come
sir.
back.
Does everybody go with 5,800 going to Port LaBelle? And us just getting 200?
well, they're not gonna, the current market value for Port LaBelle lots are like 3,000, 4,000. I mean, they're not selling. That's what, we got some expenses, like, transaction costs from selling land, then the $200, so there's, unless Port LaBelle starts improving dramatically, I don't think we're gonna be $5,800 a lot. But that's the suggestion. Port LaBelle Utilities, Shane and Jennifer, has a lot of debt, and they have a lot of non-paying parcels right now, and it's the 1 through 9 parcels are generally carrying the debt, but Banyan Village is a huge black hole of debt and no income, and Port LaBelle's heading toward a bad situation.
So that's why that recommendation is made. This is a way, not you are gonna be responsible for it regardless. So this is a way to fund it.
Just putting
Help fill the black hole.
Try to,
it back in.
Okay,
and the main thing's getting it back on tax roll.
okay.
Yeah, but the only question was, well, I think what Commissioner Turner was asking, is there a different proportion there?
Can we? We could do
Yeah,
this.
can we do a different
Yeah, right, as
proportion?
you
Because
sell it.
really the
Commissioner
general,
goes clearly to that point. I mean, well, we have an application cost that we're gonna recoup. We have more cost
Right.
engaged in that as well.
you gotta have the employees' time doing the process.
Exactly,
You can't just look at that as, okay, it was
That
$200.
cost, yeah.
What did it cost to get to that $200?
But we have the ability later to say, okay, it's 300 or 4, and then give them the, you know,
When
right,
We're
right.
gonna be seeing the contracts for
Yeah,
sale,
yeah.
which won't be until 3 years from now at the earliest.
Yeah.
And at that point, you can say, split the proceeds like this.
How we
Okay.
like. Okay,
Well, the general fund has the
Okay.
same black hole
yeah.
that needs some help.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make application for them, or do you want me to make application for them? Because I've got to sign the form.
I planned for your office to do it.
Can you send me a list?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? This motion carries. Attorney Lapp, there's another one.
Yes, the record business towing rates, we talked about this, a month or 6 weeks ago.
Right.
So I was moving forward with an ordinance that would both regulate rates and would regulate their, business practices, if you will, certain minimum requirements for the businesses in town. After I started that process, I learned two things. One was the sheriff's office, already has just implemented the regulations governing the operations of the record businesses, and I included that in the packet. You can see they're very extensive, so I'm thinking we don't need to do duplicative or contradictory or different. It just makes sense to let the sheriff do the regulation of the operations. Then that leaves rates, and you do have to set rates. You cannot choose not to set rates, but you can just choose to follow FHA out of date. So they're in the process of revamping their rates. So I'm suggesting to you that maybe we kind of go on a holding pattern.
Okay.
Let HB do its rate setting. If you think it's reasonable what they come up with, then you just parrot their rates.
Right. You need any action from us then?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
just want to make sure that you're clear that that's the
Right.
direction I think we ought
Okay.
to go.
Any
And
questions or
What does,
Yes.
comments?
what does the sheriff's department do? Do
They follow the FHP
they
rate?
just follow,
They follow FHP's current rates, which the record companies, I guess, can't stand. They don't hate it because it's really low.
okay.
You know, like you said, let them do the study. There's no sense in us trying to reinvent the wheel when they've
Right.
already have the mechanism. Let them do the legwork, and then we can piggyback with it, so.
Okay.
Who's them? The sheriff's
He
department?
said no, FHP is what he's saying.
Right.
FHP. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
one thing I'm confused on, so, Henry County Sheriff's Office Policy 500.30. Does that mean they have 500 different policies that they have implemented on their level that we don't, we just provide dollars and cents to operate?
I'd be willing to bet that's a yes.
It's concerning to me, because, I mean, I know that, we give a budget to all the constitutionals, right? But this is one of those ones where there's gonna be a pass-through with funding from us as well on a service that's being rendered that we don't have much care, custody, or control over. And it's not much different than, let's say, inmate medical pharmacy, where we give it, but do they have a, I'm just wondering, do they have a policy that monitors inmate medical pharmacy? So I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, we have a policy for this, what's the genesis behind having a policy for this and not for other aspects of what they do, and how does that happen? Yeah. Could y'all ask that on behalf of, does the board have a problem with us asking that?
That is back to
I don't think they can answer it though right now, can you, chief? I mean, that's probably a verbose answer, no?
He's gonna come in.
So you have a policy on records